Friends, welcome to Abhivakti India's Future Classroom. And from this Sunday, we are going to start a series on syllogism. So, let us start with the first episode. Syllogism, this type of questions we generally solve by three methods. First is 150 method. Second is Venn diagram method, and the third one is analytical method. In these three, the first two are most commonly used, but each one has its own drawbacks. 150 is the most easiest way to solve the problems on syllogism. But the drawback of 150 method is that if there is a question on possibilities, then we cannot solve that questions with the help of 150 method. Then we have to go for the Venn diagram method. Venn diagram method too has its own problems when there is a confusing conclusion. Then we find it difficult to use the Venn diagram method. Also the same with the analytical method. So one must know at least two methods, 150 method or the Venn diagram method. So we will study both the methods, 150 because it is easiest way to solve the problems on syllogism. But whenever there is a question on possibility, then we must know the Venn diagram method. So we will go on solving the questions by 150 method as well as the Venn diagram method simultaneously. So let us start to understand the 150 method. Here the statements are generally of these types. All books are pens. Some pens are pencils. No books are pens. Some books are not pencils. Here these first two are the positive statements. These first two are the positive statements, and the next two are the negative statements. No books are pens, some books are not pens. These are the negative statements and these are the positive statements. So whenever you solve the questions on syllogism, first check this whether the statements are positive and then compare it with the conclusion with the rules I am going to explain. Here is the first rule. If the statement is positive, then the conclusion will also be positive. All books are pens, and if I draw a conclusion that some pens are books, then that conclusion may be possible because the statement is positive, and so the conclusion will be positive. But if I say some pens are not books, then this will be a negative conclusion, and when the statement is positive, the conclusion cannot be negative. So remember, if the statement it is positive, the conclusion will also be positive. The second rule is that if the statement is negative, then the conclusion will also be negative. So remember, if the statement that is negative, then the conclusion drawn from that statement, that conclusion will also be negative. Then the third is that if two statements are positive, then the conclusion will also be positive. If you cannot draw a conclusion with the help of one single statement, you require two statements to join or connect. Then if that two statements are positive, then the conclusion will also be positive. Similarly, if the two statements are negative, then there will be no conclusion. Remember, if two statements are negative, then there will be no conclusion. Similarly, if one statement is positive and other statement is negative or vice versa, if you are joining the two statements or if you are combining two statements to come to the conclusion, then in that two statements, if one statement is positive and the other statement is negative, then the conclusion will also be negative. And if you got the conclusion with the help of this set of rules, then there is no problem. But you will have to check for the other rules also, and that other rules are that all, if the statement is beginning with all, then we give the subject as 100 and the predicate as 50. Here in the sentence, all books are pens. Here, books is called as a subject and pens is called as a predicate. If the sentence is starting like this, all books are pen, then we give books as 100 as a number and pens we give 50 as a number. If it is beginning with some pens are pencils, then here we give pens is a subject 50 number and pencils as 50 numbers. If it is beginning with no, then both subject and predicate will be given 100 as the numbers. And if it is beginning with some not, a negative statement, some books are not pencils, then we give the subject as 50 numbers and the predicate as 100 numbers. Remember this, if it is beginning with all, then subject will be 100, predicate will be 50. If it is beginning with subject some, then the subject will be 50 and predicate will also be 50. If the statement is beginning with no, then the subject will be 100 and predicate will also be 100. And if it is with some not, then the subject will be 50 and the predicate will be 100. Now this idea will get more clear when we will solve the problems actually. Here one more rule you have to remember, that if you have to draw a conclusion by joining these statements, that is, if the conclusion is between books and pencils, then you will have to connect these two statements and that will be connected through this common word. So there should be a common word to connect the two statements. Here in this case the common word is pens. So through pens you can connect these two statements, and the rule is that at least one common word should have 100 number. Here in this case, this pen has 50 numbers and this pen has 50 numbers. Neither common word has a 100 number, so these two statements cannot be connected. Now if you have connected these two statements through books, if you have a conclusion between pens and pencils, then you will have to connect these two statements in which books is a common word, and in this books one book means one common word has a 100 number. Therefore in this case we can connect these two words, two statements. Now let us start with the actual problems. Now let us start with the simple questions. The statements are: all books are papers, all papers are notebooks. As per the rules, when the statement begins with all, we give this books as 100 and papers as 50 number. Second statement is all papers are notebooks. So all papers are notebook. Here papers will be 100 and notebooks will be 50. Now we will go to the conclusion part. Some papers are books. Here papers It is beginning with some, so this will be 50 and this will be 50. Here the correlation between papers and books that we get in the first sentence, papers and books, correct? Now that one sentence will be sufficient to get to the conclusion. Here books 100 number, papers 50 numbers. These numbers we take as income. And here these numbers we take as expenditure. So here the income of books is 100 and the expenditure of books is 50. That is possible because earning is 100 and expenditure is 50. And here the income of papers is 50, whereas the expenditure of papers is 50. Whatever the income, that's much is the expenditure. So that too is possible, and therefore the statement 1 follows. It is correct. Now go to the second statement. Some notebooks are papers. Some notebooks are paper. So some, it is beginning with some. So subject will be 50, predicate will be 50. Notebooks and papers we get in the second statement. Notebooks and papers. Now papers have 100 as a income and 50 as the expenditure, correct, which is possible. Notebooks has 50 as a income and 50 as a expenditure, which is also possible. So both the rules are satisfied and therefore the second also follow. Now go to the third one. All books are notebooks. All books are notebooks. Books and notebooks we get in the first and the second statement. Books are here and notebooks are here. Therefore, we will have to combine these two. Both are positive statements, so the conclusion will also be positive. Here all books are notebook. This is also positive. So the first set of rule is satisfied here. Now see, all books are notebooks. When the statement begins with all, books will get 100 as a number and notebooks will get 50 as a number. Now here, to combine these two statements, we require one common element, and that common element here is a paper. That is also satisfied. And now the second rule is that one common element should have at least 100. Both can have 100 or one is sufficient to have 100. Then we can combine these two statements. So here papers, here it is 100 as a number. So the second rule is also satisfied. Now we can join these two statements through the common word papers. Now here books has 100 as a income. And here also books has 100 as a income. And notebooks has 50 as an income. So notebook has 50 as an income. So this is also satisfied. This is also satisfied. Therefore conclusion 3 also follows. Now check for the fourth option. No books are notebooks. Here books and notebooks we get in two statements. So we will have to connect these two statements. So when we will connect these two statements, this is positive statement, this is also positive statement, and so the conclusion will also be positive. But the conclusion here we are getting is negative, and since the conclusion is negative, it will not follow. So the first, second and third will follow and the fourth will not follow. Now let us see the Venn diagram method. Here it is given that all books are papers. So here all books are paper. So the books of circles and books are of papers, books will be inside the circle of papers. Books and papers are nothing but the names of the sets. Remember these. These are the sets. One set is named as books and another set is named as papers. So, if the set books contains the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, then the papers will also contain 1, 2, 3, 4 and some other numbers also. Correct? Then second statement is that all papers are notebooks. So all papers are notebooks. So paper circle will be inside the notebook circles. Now here's go to the conclusion. Some papers are books. So some papers are books. It means we are going from paper to books, means from outside to inside. So when we go outside to inside, we use the word some. And when we go inside to outside, we use the word all. Correct? So here paper to books, outside to inside. So we are using some. So we can say some books, some papers are books. So this statement also follows. Now next is some notebooks are papers. Some notebooks are papers. We are going from outside to inside. So we will use the word some. So some notebooks are papers. That statement conclusion is also true. Now all books are notebooks. We are going from books to notebooks. From books to notebooks means from inside to outside. Then we use the term all. So all books are notebooks. That is also true. Now the no books are notebooks. No books are notebooks. Books are inside the notebooks. So we cannot say that no books are notebooks. So this fourth conclusion do not follow. And therefore the first, second and third follow and the fourth do not follow. Now let us see the another example. Here is the next question. The statements are all nail polish is a cosmetic. Second statement is no cosmetics is powder. And the third statement is some powders are medicines. Conclusions are some powders are cosmetics, some medicines are nail polishes, and some cosmetics are nail polishes. Now friends, here first we will solve this with the help of 150 method, and then we will solve it with the help of Venn diagram. To solve with the help of 150 method, we assign some numbers to the subject and the predicate. The first statement is all nail polish is a cosmetic. When the statement begins with all, we give the subject as 100 number and the predicate as 50 number. The second statement is no cosmetics is powder. Here the statement is beginning with no. In this case we give subject as well as predicate the 100 number. So it will be 100 and this will be also 100. Now the statement 3 is some powders are medicines. When a statement begins with some, we give 100 number to subject, we give 50 number to the subject and 50 number to the predicate. Now we will start with the conclusion. These numbers we take as income and these numbers we take as expenditure. So the first conclusion is some powders are cosmetics. Now the first conclusion that begins with some, so the subject will get 50 number and the predicate will get 50 number. Now here the subject is powder and the predicate is cosmetic. Search for this subject and predicate, these two, in the above sentences. So here powders and cosmetic we find in this second statement, cosmetics and powders, these are correlated. But here we will see that the statement is negative and the conclusion is positive. So when the statement is negative, from that negative statement we do not get the positive conclusion, and therefore this first conclusion will not follow. So there is no need to check all these numbers as far as the first conclusion is concerned. Now in the second conclusion, some medicines are nail polishes. Here the subject is medicines, predicate is nail polishes. So medicines and nail polishes we get. So here we will see medicines and nail polishes here. Here in the first statement there is a nail polish, and in the third statement there is medicine. But if you see in these two statements there is no common word. Then we will check all the three statements. First and two there is powder is a common word. Then second and first there is cosmetic is a common word. So we will have to connect all these three statements to get this conclusion. So if you connect this first, second and third, this is negative statement, this is positive statement, so the conclusion will be negative. And then if you join this statement and this first statement is positive, and this negative statement and this positive statement will give you the negative conclusion. So this conclusion is not negative, this conclusion is positive, and therefore it will not follow. Now the third conclusion is some cosmetics are nail polishes. Cosmetics and nail polishes. Here first statement contains nail polishes and cosmetics. So this first statement is sufficient to come to the conclusion number 3. So here this first statement is positive, conclusion is positive. Okay, now check the numbers. Here this conclusion begins with some, so this will get 50 number and this will also get 50 number. Here the nail polish has income of 100 and the expenditure of 50. So expenditure is less than that of the income, and that is correct. Here for cosmetics 50 is the income, and here for cosmetics 50 is the expenditure. So whatever is the income, the same can be the expenditure, and therefore this is also true, and therefore we can say that some cosmetics are nail polishes. This is a true conclusion. Now let us solve this with the help of Venn diagram. Here the first statement is all nail polish is a cosmetic. So it will be like this: all nail polish is cosmetics. So the circle of nail polish will be inside the circle of cosmetics. The second statement is no cosmetics is powder. So it will be like this: no cosmetics is powder. It means powder is a disjoint set, and so cosmetics and powder are not joined, are not overlapping. It is quite away from this, since it is a disjoint set. The third is some powders are medicines. So it will be like this: some powders are medicine. So this common part is overlapping with powder, because powder and medicine has this much of the common part. Now let us see the first conclusion. The first conclusion is that some powders are cosmetics. Some powders are cosmetics, how it can be possible? Cosmetics and powders are the disjoint set. Disjoint set means what? The elements of this set means the powder set and the elements of the cosmetic sets both are different. Suppose the elements of cosmetic are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then the elements of powder will be other than these 5 elements. It may be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 like that. But we do not know the elements. But we know that the elements of both of these two sets are different. So here powders and cosmetics are not correlated. So to say some powders are cosmetics is not correct. It is untrue. Now the second conclusion is some medicines are nail polishes. Some medicines are nail polishes. This part of the medicine cannot overlap with cosmetics or nail polishes because it is overlapping with the powder, and powder is a disjoint set of cosmetics. So this part cannot overlap this, but we do not know anything about this part of the medicine. This may overlap with this sets or may not overlap with these sets. So there is a confusion, there is probability, there is uncertainty whether it will overlap or not. Possibility is there, and whenever such uncertainty is there, we say that this conclusion is not true. Here the third conclusion is some cosmetics are nail polishes. Nail polishes are here and cosmetics are here. All nail polishes are cosmetics, and we have seen in the first example that when we go from outside to inside, we use the term some, and when we go from inside to outside, we use the term all. Now here we are going from cosmetic to nail polish. It means from outside to inside. So we will use the term some, and so we will say some cosmetics are nail polishes, and therefore saying some cosmetics are nail polishes is a true statement conclusion, and therefore only third conclusion follows. First and second do not follow. The statements are all trees are books. Another statement is some books are tables. And the third statement is all tables are pencils. All the three statements are positive, so there will be no negative conclusion. And here there is no negative conclusion. All the three conclusions are possible. So here the first conclusion is some pencils are tables, second is some books are trees, and third is some tables are trees. Now let us first try to solve this with the help of 150 method, and then we will solve with the help of Venn diagram. So here the first statement is all trees are books. So here the sentence is beginning with all, so here we will assign 100 number and here we will assign 50 number. Some books are tables, beginning with some, so both subject and predicate will have 50 number. All tables are pencils, beginning with all, so subject will have 100 number and the predicate will have 50 number. Now see the first conclusion, some pencils are tables. So subject is pencil and predicate is table, and in the third sentence statement you see that there is a table and there is a pencil, both are correlated. So we can come to this conclusion through the statement number 3 only. There is no need to connect the 2 or 3 statements. So here some pencils are tables. The sentence is beginning with some. So pencils will have 50 number and tables will have 50 numbers. These we take as income and these numbers we take as expenditure. Now here table income is 100 and here table's expenditure is 50, which is true because the expenditure is less than 100, which is correct. Now here the pencils, that is income is 50 and here the income is also 50, so income and expenditure both are equal, that is also true, and therefore some pencils are tables is a true statement. Conclusion. Now here the second conclusion is that some books are trees. So it is beginning with some, so it will have 50 number and it will have 50 number. Now books and trees we get in the first statement. Here in the first statement trees and books are correlated. So the first statement is sufficient to come to this conclusion number 2. So here the trees have 100 as an income, 100 as an income, and here the trees have 50 as an expenditure. So 100 is the income and 50 is the expenditure, which is correct. Now the books has 50 as an income and here the books has 50 as the expenditure. Income and expenditures are same. It is not less than income, it is not greater than income, and therefore both are same, and so this is also satisfied. So both conditions are satisfied, therefore the second conclusion is also true. First is true, second is also true. Now check for the third one. Some tables are trees. Tables and trees. Table has 50 number and trees have 50 number because it is beginning with some. Now tables and trees we get in the first and the second statement. So trees is here and the tables is here. We will have to connect these two statements through the common word, that is books. So here second rule is that the common word, at least one common word should have 100 as a number, but here no common word has 100 as a number, and therefore we cannot connect these two statements. And since we cannot connect these two statements, this third conclusion is not true. So this third conclusion is not correct. So only first and second conclusion follow, third do not follow. Now let us try to understand the same question with the help of the Venn diagram. Here the first statement is all trees are books. So here all trees are books. So trees will be inside the circle of books. Now the second statement is some books are tables. So it will be some books are tables. These are the books and these are the tables. So the set of books and set of tables overlap on this part because the elements of books and the elements of table are common here. Now the third statement is all tables are pencils. So all tables are pencils. So the tables will be inside the circle of pencils because the elements of tables all are in the elements of pencils, set of pencils, and therefore we can draw it as table circle inside the pencil circle. Now see the first conclusion. Some pencils are tables. Now here tables is inside the pencil. I separate these two circles here. Tables circle is inside the circle of the pencils, and the conclusion is that some pencils are tables. it means we are going from outer side to inner side. Outer side to inner side. We know that when we go from inner to outer side, we use the term all, and when we go from outer to inner side, we use the term some. So here we are going from pencil to table, and so we will say some pencils are tables. So this first statement is true, that some pencils are tables. Now the second conclusion is some books are trees. Here trees circle is inside the book circle, and the conclusion is from books to trees. So books to trees, it means from outer side to inside. So outer side to inner side, when we go, we use the term some. So it will be some books are trees, and therefore this statement is true. Now check the third conclusion. Some tables are trees. Some tables are trees. Now here the tables and trees have no direct connection, and pencils and trees, that too do not have direct correlation. But that possibility cannot be avoided. It can be possible, but the statements do not talk about this possibility, and therefore whenever there is uncertainty, we say that the conclusion is untrue, and therefore here the third conclusion is not true. Therefore first and second follow, and the third, that do not follow. Friends, I hope you must have enjoyed this video. If yes, please like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so that you will get all updates right into your mailbox. Here I am suggesting few more videos to you, and go through these videos and like it, share it with your friends so that they too will get connected with me, and don't forget to subscribe the channel. Thank you very much.